everybody. Good evening. I know we have a couple of members coming that haven't arrived yet, but thank you all for coming today. We're glad to have some friends in the audience, so thank you. Does everyone have a copy of the agenda? No. Copies of the agenda? Cleveland does? So welcome back. Thanks for joining me back at the table. It's good to see all of you. We're going to get started this evening. As you know, we tried to meet for just about an hour, absolutely no longer than an hour and a half. We often have other boards coming in behind us. So I'm going to get started. I drafted the agenda. I received a couple of questions from folks today about who drafts the agenda. And I typically draft the agenda with input from all of you. So I do appreciate it when you folks send things back to me. It's our meeting, so it's our agenda. So when I ask you to provide some, please feel free to do that. So I just happen to be the person that puts it together. So. Ernie, thank you for being willing to join us again. It's good to see you. This evening we're going to start off with a review to Cleveland Kent. To start off with where we left off before with the review of the amenities. You have the packet before you that had the amenities that we had discussed previously. So, you know, we talked about bricks and bollards and all of those kinds of things. There's actually a box behind Ernie on the windowsill that has the actual bricks in it, if anybody really wants to see the bricks. If you want to get started, Ken, I know you reviewed and Ernie some of these amenities, wherever you'd like to start. It'll be up on the screen. I hope that everybody can see it. Yes. I did, but this was posted last week, so I put outstanding items, if any, so I was hopeful that would catch whatever we might now have remembered. Thank you.
I would like to know just how much time this presentation on the amenities is going to take, because I would like to get back to the question that I asked at the selectmen's meeting and have that included in the discussion this evening. Has there been any response from the MDOT?
No, I have sent it up to them, and I told them that the board meets on the 15th, and they will have a response to me for the board's meeting.
I think that there are some discussion that we should have, a general discussion, and there's enough time allowed after the presentation.
Okay. So if it's okay with you, could we take that up under outstanding items, if any? Okay, great. Go ahead.
Okay, thank you all for coming. What we have tonight is on the agenda, you'll see draft highway signage. Basically, I talked to the police chief earlier today about some of those outstanding items that we need clarification on, which is what the parking spots are going to be. I know we talked as a group about peak, non-peak availability on the side streets for parking. So the police chief will take that up with his parking committee and we'll regroup once he does that. So that takes care of that draft highway signage that's outstanding on my end. What we have tonight is the amenities that are in the contract, which was awarded last Friday to Pike Industries. So that contract has been signed and awarded to the contractor. So from there, we'll walk down through these amenities that are in front of us. Well, we will try. Again, Ken. That goes. Let's try this. Okay, I'm sorry for I couldn't get Ken's picture turned around. What this is a granite seating area. That seating area is located from here to here. So Kent will explain what the height is, what it's made out of.
We've got basically a granite block wall. There's an issue between the cross slope on the sidewalk and the street coming down the hill. So there will be a sitting wall. There'll be a 12-inch granite block with a granite cap on it that will step down in 6-inch increments every 6 feet. So if you can turn that right side up, it would be level pieces, 6-foot benches, detailed very nicely. It will be gray Swenson granite, 12 inches thick and 36 inches, making a 22-inch height bench that'll step down every 6 feet, and that'll let the sidewalk go down the hill at a less steep grade and allow a little wiggle room for the 2 different grades on the pedestrian side and the street side. And I also think it'll provide a nice reinforcement of the separation between the traffic area and the wide pedestrian spaces that we want to have used for people.
Ken, where is that exactly going on the sidewalk?
It'll be opposite streets running
No, how far in from the curb?
around 3 feet, I think.
It'll be 4 feet with a snow shelf, and because you've got the granite chain bollards, that'll be just inside the curb, and that'll be 3 feet from that granite bollard to the face of the seating area.
What about availability for emergency vehicles, fire trucks and so on?
Yep, they'll still be able to get on the other end. There'll be enough sidewalk space.
Thank you.
And that's a seat, like a chair seat?
Yeah, it'll be benched down every 6 feet, but it'll be the same elevation.
It's not
Just a
just
bench.
wall. It's not a wall.
It's a sitting wall.
Sitting.
Sitting wall.
There's no back on it.
Right. Yeah. So how far is the drop from the wall?
Overall height, 2 feet.
22 inches to sit on. 24 inches is a little bit too high. 22 inches is kind of the perfect outdoor seating height. It's difficult to understand the grade, but the pitch of the difference in the pitch the difference between the outside and the inside will vary from 6 inches to about 2 feet, with the 2 stepping down differently. We will rebuild the stairs at the lower end of the street on both sides using granite treads that will match that wall feature. The granite bollards and the granite treads and the sitting wall will all be the same, very nice gray granite.
Yeah, so with the steps that are there, we're just gonna rehab those steps, reconstruct them, saw cut, relay the concrete, and then on each step, you'll get one of these granite treads over the top of them, to each tread.
So that would be the side view, looking at what used to be key with the cobble edge, and we will be rebuilding the cobble edge, and then the stairs at the end are what you just saw rebuilt with granite treads. The concrete that's there is terrible because it's obviously people put salt on it in the winter, and concrete really can't take that. So changing it to stone will be a huge upgrade.
And with the refacing of the cobble, the granite cobble that's there today will get reused, so the contractor will pull all that granite cobble and then what we call repoint that to the face of the new steps. So we're reusing that granite cobble.
There's a railing there too, and I will show you working drawings for how the railing will be replaced.
Ernie?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Going back to that seating area,
Yeah.
is there any way possible to put little raised pieces every so often to prevent people from skateboarding? Because I feel that that's going to attract skateboarders all night long.
Yeah, we could, we might be able to take a bollard and put it at the end,
Something.
some sort of, yeah. Yeah.
Ernie, there's a very obvious little add-on that can be added to walls that, as a landscape feature, that can actually blend into the historic look.
Good.
It's not in the contract, but that's a good observation. This would be the bollard and chain system. We'll be using the same Swenson gray granite 6x6 posts with a roughly 2-inch length chain, all factory finished in black, and Swenson will put the attachment rings on the posts. That'll also be done by the supplier.
Yeah, and that's basically what we talked about, the barrier for pedestrians between the crosswalks. So you'll have a couple here, and it runs down the side, roughly a foot behind the granite, and then the same thing, it runs between this radius to keep pedestrians in the what we call the refuge area at the sidewalks. Same thing on this side right here, and then it'll run down the face of this curve here all the way down to where we have 2 sidewalks, one for Red's Eats patrons and one is for pedestrian traffic that'll be using our sidewalk. It'll be on the back side there to just keep Red's patrons on the other side of that, so we'll have a full sidewalk width for other patrons to walk up and down the street.
We will order 6-foot pieces of granite that will be 42 inches out of the ground, and the chains will be mounted at 36. That's the Boston Morin Artisan Brick paver, a sample that I got of the Boston blend, and put it down on the sidewalk, and that's like absolutely perfect match. If we want to match it, that's the pick.
And this is a sample of the wall that we're going to be installing over here on Railroad Ave to hold back the bank over there. This is up on Mount Vernon Avenue in Augusta. It's called a Rediscape rock, has a flat top to it, and this is what we're using over to on Railroad Ave to hold the bank back to the parking lot over there. And this is just, I think most of us on the PAC have seen this. This is looking down Railroad Ave, looking at the proposed sidewalk here with the bollards, with the chain link fence, proposed loading zone, handicap, and then the rest is parking out through Railroad Avenue. One change that you can see here is the dumpster and the porta potty for Red's Eats restaurant will now be on the other side of the railroad tracks, and there'll be a access point over there, so their dumpster truck can now still back up there and remove their materials. And this is basically looking up Water Street. We talked about the bollards here. You know, that's where they're going to be located up each side street. Over here across from Sarah's. The tip downs, which we'll show in a second. And kind of this is what the look of the proposed signals are going to look like. And that's kind of what the proposed, well, these sidewalks, shouldn't say proposed, these are the items that are in our contract, which we have selected as an advisory group to move forward with. And this is the separation that I talked about where Red's Eats patrons will stay in here because it's really problematic today where they're pretty much everywhere over here. No one that wants to just walk by can walk by. And as mentioned right here, you have those bollards that'll keep everybody in check as you make your way around to the other crosswalk that crosses Water Street up to Main Street.
Ernie,
Yes?
the bollards are gonna be there and not on the edge of the sidewalk?
Over here, correct. Because the patrons are going to be here, we want to protect the patrons here. The only other thing that we could have done was put two lines of the bollard change, and that would have been too much. But they are here.
But what are the bollards that Liz has there now?
They're white, and I think they're
Yeah, I know. I was just worried about pedestrians being able to walk without going into the street.
go over here. They should be, yeah, they should be all right, because if you keep the red line away from the sidewalk, that cleans it up. and that's the bulk of your foot traffic.
Are we having the double chain on the bollards?
No, just a single. And this picture here, it's not the signal itself I wanted to show, it's that base unit. This right here, this is the only cut sheet that I could get from the contracting world. You know, so it's decorative in nature, and, you know, just to give you an example, there's a shadow of a person. So it's gonna be, you know, usually I think 4 feet, 3 to 4 feet in height as a base, just decorative. And then if we back up a second looking at this, it'll be ribbed in nature as it comes up the pole, and then this piece right here will have some decorative ribbing to it to give it some style to fit into our historical integrity of the downtown. This is the bollard light. It's not green, it's black, but this is the bollard light that you will see on Railroad Ave all the way out through on the back side of the sidewalks that are going out there. They'll be black, and they'll be 180 degrees in nature. So the front part of the fixture, the 180 degrees, will actually be the light. The back side won't have a light on it, so you can't see it if you're coming across the bridge. You guys talked about that, so that's what we have. And this is the sidewalk fixture. It's very similar to the one in Bath. The difference is that you didn't want the spike, so that one's it's gonna be a round ball on top of this, but this is the fixture right here that you will have for sidewalk lights. One thing related to the sidewalk lights, I didn't bring my photometrics map to me, but most of the CMP Cobra headlights, I know you guys are looking for doing away with those Cobra heads, can go away in this section right here. You know, because the sidewalk lights that we're installing will illuminate the intersections enough so those overhead Cobras can go away. And we've got a list of those that will be getting removed as part of the project by the utility.
That's not the same light that we discussed at the last meeting, though.
It's this one right here, see with the back one?
Yeah. Is that,
Yeah. Yeah, it's the same fixture.
is that round?
It doesn't have the round top to it. Instead of the picket. It doesn't have this little thing we do here. It's not a spike. It has the round knob to it like Bath does.
That looks like it's round, and the one, the distance is octagonal, or hexagonal. The
Yeah.
back one is square, isn't it?
I might have distorted it by trying to get it to fit on the slide too, Steve.
Okay.
So my apologies for that. But yes, it's the same one that's in that picture right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this is just as far as the overhead traffic signals, we're going to use a video-based presence detection with the thermal imaging. So you can actually, you know, if something happens there and police department wants to go on and review some footage, that's available to them, as well as useful to us for the management of the traffic flows. They'll have the camera detection units over here, which is, if you look out here, they're black. They're going to be black, not white. And it's for emergency vehicle preemption. We have that. So the ambulances, I'm not sure if the fire trucks have that or not. You know?
Not sure, I don't think they do.
Yeah. I know the ambulances have it, and that was one of Toby's requests, was to have that installed, and it's going to be installed not only downtown, but this one up here does not have it. We're going to install that one up here as well as part of our project. So all 3 signals will have this capability for the ambulance service. And this just shows the emitters that are on the face side of the ambulances, and that's what's communicating with the signals. There's a button that they press within the fire truck. I'm not sure if it's in the ambulance or if it's in the station. I can't remember what Toby said, but
I think it was in the station.
in the station.
At least for this light here.
Right.
I don't know how it's gonna affect the others.
The other one. So this is what we call a rectangular rapid flashing beacon. These are going to be placed up at the crosswalk up here by the post office. So if you aren't familiar with these, it gets pressed, and these lights right here are very bright in nature. So you can see them whether it's daytime, you can definitely see them at nighttime. And as soon as someone presses that, they illuminate, then traffic should stop and allow pedestrians to cross. And these are the push button facilities that'll be at these locations, at the each intersection, at the crosswalks, where you'll have this push button mechanism right here. This is a side view. You press it, and we haven't, wasn't able to get the countdown times between as soon as that's pressed, and then when main line goes red, there's going to be a certain time frame that allows crossings to take place. And we're also looking at, there is a capability that shows you the actual time and wait. So when main line goes back to green, I think there's a way for these to tell you how many seconds you have before you'll actually be able to cross. So we're looking at implementing that as part of the system, which would be kind of neat to tell you how long you can have to wait to actually cross. And it shows you just the pedestrian facilities, like at each one of these intersections, you're going to have a cast iron plate, that'll be located at each side of these crosswalks. And that's just what they are. They got concrete around them. They're embedded right in the ground, and that brick's going to come right in and tie right on each side of them. And that's just the control cabinet, and I think that's proposed for down in this area here, I believe. We're going to try to locate that so it's not in any particular location that'll affect what you have going on downtown. And this is just looking at the intersections at night. They're going to be bright, retro-reflective, and they'll have covers on them to protect the light from going outside that and going up. So as far as shooting out to some of the windows out on the apartments, there'll be a deflector there to keep the light coming down toward the roadway. And all the lights that we are installing are dark sky approved, which means all the light goes down, not up. So there will not be any interference going up from any of these fixtures that we are installing. And that's it for the number one.
May I ask a question? How many lights in those 2 blocks apart from the bridge where is Reddit there and the post office? How many lights total in that short distance?
You're talking the sidewalk lighting?
All the lights, because I live here now, I didn't know about that. I just feel terrible to see that in such a short distance, separated by one small block each time, there is maybe how many? 6 traffic lights above the road?
Yeah, you got traffic lights here at this intersection, and then sidewalk lights. You've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 on each side of the block. So there's 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16.
I mean traffic lights.
I think she needs the number of traffic lights.
Right.
No, you'll have 2, 4, 6, 8. Wait, 2, 4, 6, 12. We'll have 12 and all. 6 at each intersection.
In what distance then? From the post office to
You'll have 2 here.
Because I live at that corner.
Here?
And I sleep there. And I have guests in my bed and breakfast.
Yeah, they'll
And
have.
so all day long, the light is just short, just keeping inside that kind of box like for horses there. The light kind of goes on, beyond that.
Yeah.
So we are going to have all day long and all night long those blinking of lights.
No, they're not blinking. They just come on. They'll stay like any normal
Right.
traffic light, like the one out here. Will go green.
Oui, mais
stay
they go green, they go red,
Yeah,
regular.
go green, yellow, red,
So
green,
do you
yellow.
really think that it's necessary on it's so small of a distance to have a traffic, you know, so many traffic lights there?
Yes,
You think so?
yeah.
You don't think that one in front of the public building, the post office, is one, and one at the bridge is one? Do you think you need to put them at
Yeah.
each corner like
This
this?
is just a pedestrian lane up there. The only
Yeah.
signals that you have are at these two intersections.
Yeah, do you think you need so many like this here, just one block apart?
Yes, yeah, to
Why
direct
that?
traffic, to get
Because-
traffic to flow.
So you think it's going to improve the traffic speed, but
No,
they are
the
going
traffic-
to be
It's going to
stopped?
improve the traffic mobility.
What do you mean by mobility? The speed?
No, the mobility.
But people come, you know, and they are going to be anyway squeezed in order to go on the bridge. So I don't understand the difference between the speed and mobility. Mobility, they are going to stop, they are going to start again, they are going to stop, they are going to start again, and they are going to do that a third time, 2 blocks apart like this. I mean, it's not New York City, it's not, you know, big city, Paris or anything, it's just a small village, and that span, that distance there, so short, to have so many traffic lights. I think it's not right.
Thank you,
I mean, I think
Thank you.
it's true.
thank you.
Well, you want me to stop, but I want to insist because I
Other people
am,
might want to speak, thank you. Other people want to speak also, thank you.
so they can. So I would like to understand the rationale for all those traffic lights for short distance.
Okay, thank you for those comments. So just so that I can paraphrase, your concern is the number of lights in a short amount of distance? Okay.
It's a lot of traffic lights for just, I mean, I didn't review, but it's very short.
I thought we decided to double check.
Can I ask a question regarding those lights?
One chain.
Just because we worry about people going under and over.
Yeah, it should be fine with just the one.
Excuse me, regarding the lights, will they be also beeping like the one on 27 and 1? Because that would be disturbing if I was staying at the Marksman House. Or anywhere. Will they also be beeping?
The crosswalk lights will be.
Oh, so Fort Hill is gonna be beeping. That's gonna be great. But the ones on Water Street and Middle Street?
Fort Hill's just gonna flash. One on Fort Hill's just gonna flash. That doesn't have a countdown on
It's just
won't
a
beep?
lot of.
Then why does this one beep?
it. This one these are.
Now, why does the one on 27 and 1 beep?
I'm not sure why that one beeps. I
Why
didn't
don't we get it to
start
stop beeping?
when it gets done, when the crossing's complete.
So when
We
they
can
cross,
shut-
so when somebody crosses, it's gonna beep.
We can shut that on and off.
All right, let's turn that one off on 27.
Okay, so any other comments on the amenities from the board members?
Going back to the granite, you spoke about the granite wall, the new facing. Do you use the existing curbing that's down there, which is granite, or does that get replaced with matching curbing?
Yeah, the existing, today the granite comes in, it's obviously manufactured by machine, not by hand. The problem with the existing curbing out there, it's shorter in length, and to match that up to the new styles, because you got different radiuses, and then you got the tip downs for the ADA compliant sidewalks and the crosswalks. We've actually went through that with Hollowell, and we actually did a demo up on Mount Vernon Avenue showing the reuse of granite curb, and it just looks ugly. It's just because of the machines that make it today and the hand labor that made the old stuff. So no, all that will come on.
But it's replaced with granite curb, and it somewhat matches the other granite that's used on the...
Yeah, the Swenson, as Kent mentioned, the Swenson is the granite for all the granite that we're putting in. So it all should match in color. And as far as the granite that's existing out there, you know, we can give some of that to the town if they so choose to have it stockpiled somewhere too, so they can reuse it on other parts of the city as well.
That could be handy. Thank you.
Which in a lot of cases, we thought about reusing the granite on on the Readyscape wall, but due to the soils and stuff that's there, we couldn't. Like in Hollowell, we're taking the existing granite out of the downtown, we're actually building a short retaining wall up along the walking path with that granite. But that's just, it's a shorter wall in nature, so just because of the soil conditions, we weren't able to reuse the granite that's out there, but.
Any other comments from the committee? Any comments on the amenities from the public? Yes, sir.
I've got a question.
Sure.
I'd like to, my name is Matt O'Donnell, and I'm a community member. And I was wondering if we could go back to the slide of red Z's. Excuse me. Yeah. I just want to play devil's advocate with you because I didn't get a chance to do that the last one. I've spent considerable time in Canadian cities for about 10 years, and we're looking at a very cost-effective project. In Canada, when they're faced with all of this, they start way back here and burrow underground. And instead of putting stairs in, they put ramps in that take you underground to the other side. Why aren't we thinking like that? Because then you can eliminate all of these lights.
Yeah, unfortunately, it was never proposed, and there are implications with getting ADA compliancy on those ramps and how much right-of-way it takes to get on each end to get that distance is one of the problems, just thinking off the top of my head. Because you gotta make it ADA compliant, you're gonna put a ramp in. If you have to put stairs, that doesn't meet ADA. You have to put elevators in. There's a lot of cost and stuff associated with it just because of
You
that.
think this is less cost effective than putting in a ramp up here and down here?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do. Without looking at any of the, there's so many other elements to what you're asking without any of the knowledge base to actually look at that. Right now, I would say this is less cost than putting any ramps
Do you
on there.
think this is safer?
I do. It's an improvement.
If you
I definitely think it's an
put a ramp
improvement.
here going this way, you'd end up in the middle of Sarah's,
No.
coming out where the ramp goes for ADA.
You could take it as far as you like, or you could take it to the corner if you wanted. But you'd also have to have a place for people to walk by the opening. Think of your subway openings when you're in the big city. They have them right there on the sidewalk. You're not walking out the middle of the street to get into a car.
Yeah, I think in this location, it just comes down to the real estate that's available without really diving into that approach.
Mr. O'Donnell, just so that you know, in the beginning of the planning of this project, before this got passed to Ernie's level, the town had several conversations with MDOT about a pedestrian underpass.
Yeah.
And one of the statements that one of the board members made, if they could put one in Woolwich, Maine, and Lucerne, why wouldn't they consider it here? And they would not consider it, but the town did ask.
They did.
We did.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as we try.
Another question?
Yes.
I wanted to share some things with you, if I may. And while I'm giving you these, Mr. Maloney brought up a very good point earlier. He asked about safety vehicles, emergency vehicles, and when Ernie came and we had that emergency meeting, I asked a question about if there was a fire on a third floor, did we have a truck that would handle that? And evidently there isn't one that will handle that today. So unless we've purchased some really wonderful newfangled truck, I doubt that there will be one.
I'm going to jump in on that. They have these agreements with other towns on these trucks. Now, you wasn't living here when they had a big fire on Main Street many years ago, and they were able to take care of that fire with no problem at all. So, you know, to throw out, you know, we need a big ladder truck, that's BS. They can go and get a truck from, I think Waldeboro's got one, Bath's got one, Blue Bay has one.
We're supposed to take the comments on amenities, and this is off the agenda.
This is a public meeting, we were told we could answer questions. It's not a
It
public meeting.
is a public meeting.
It's a public meeting.
It is a public meeting. Let's be courteous and we can get
Well,
5
let's do
minutes.
this, we're never gonna get our job.
Understood.
As far as the question at hand is that, I've talked to TJ, they make wedges that go in the face of the curb into, correct me if I'm wrong, Chief, but we talked about the wedges that allow vehicles to navigate over the curb that he would throw down, and that would take care of that issue.
Okay, so what I've passed out is the parking feasibility study that MDOT commissioned back in 2016. Full disclosure, there are actually 3 versions of this. This is the version that MDOT,
What's it got to do with amenities?
I'm getting to it. This is the version that MDOT has released. So I just want you to know that. I've also given you some of the edits that came from the original version.
Thank you.
And it's all well and good to talk about amenities, but what I would like to point out is that in this study, it talks about a reasonable walking distance. A reasonable walking distance of 300 feet from the center of our business district. That's what the blue circle represents. We are losing 52 parking spaces on Main Street. We are losing 52 parking spaces on Main Street and on our side streets.
Kim, where is this going? How can we focus this in on the authority that the
I think being able, wasn't there a PAC subcommittee on parking?
There is a parking committee, yes.
It was a subcommittee of the PAC.
But no, there's always been a parking committee in town.
Well, I understand that it was Steve and, and Susan and John.
Right, but
I just want people to know that these red spaces, the 29 spaces on here, this is what represents a reasonable walking distance. This is what we are going to have left.
Okay.
This is it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Okay.
So no one is interested, so it's not an amenity to be able to have a convenient parking space for your business?
Silence, please.
Selfish.
You keep your mouth shut.
Hey, this is really important down right now.
Really important.
You have that.
It's not on the agenda.
Has to do with parking, and that has to do with pedestrians in the town.
Calm down.
Okay? I'm just saying, don't shut her up like that.
Don't act the way you acted towards him.
Stephen, enough. Seaver, Kim has asked to speak. I gave her permission. You want to be mad at somebody, be mad at me, but please let's be courteous. Whether we agree or not, Kim, you have a couple of minutes, so please
Thank you.
focus.
I feel that this is an amenity. And MDOT continues to tell us how many extra parking spaces they are giving us. They are not giving us any extra spaces. To date, the Water Street parking lot is not being built.
That's correct.
So that's 26 spaces that are not going in.
You guys caused it.
That's 26 spaces that are not going in.
Kim, wrap it up, please. I appreciate the work that you've done.
Because it's a difficult subject, we can't talk about it,
No,
because
but-
it's upsetting to people.
But this,
No one is going to park on Railroad Avenue to go run in and buy a birthday card at rock, paper, scissors. No one is going to park on Railroad Avenue to get a cup of coffee and a pastry and
That's an
cheese.
opinion. You don't know that. People, I walk along.
Read the study
I don't
that
care about the study.
that's MDOT.
I don't care about it.
produced it.
Stop, please.
MDOT produced a study that said that a
We're not
300-foot
rehashing the
distance.
project. With all due respect, that's not the focus of this. We're not rehashing the project.
Just wanted everyone to be aware with what you will have.
But I quite agree that this is relevant, it's not rehashing the project, because Ernie's here to talk about amenities. Parking, I think, would be a really important amenity to this town.
It is very important, Cedar, but it's not, we're not talking about that this evening specifically. You heard me
Amenities
say
is the number one subject on the agenda.
it is.
The project was awarded. The project was awarded. The project was awarded.
Excuse me,
I
Marion
had
has called on me, and I'd like to ask Marion if you would take the procedure now that would be, yes, it's a public meeting, but please don't take any more comments from the public, including me. I will go sit down. You let the PAC have their discussion, and we will listen.
I want to know when the public meeting will be, because the letter of intent that the town, I know, but the letter of intent that the town signed said that there would be a final public meeting.
And that's a discussion that's best with the Board of Selectmen, not this group. This group does not have that
Already awarded the
authority.
contract, when will that happen?
I don't know that. I don't know when
That's
that will
why I'm
happen.
taking the opportunity, because it might be the only one that I get.
I appreciate that, thank you. But that really is a discussion at a different level than here. Not that we don't want to hear it. So the board meets on the 15th, and if you have information for that, I'd be happy to share it. But these folks don't have any say in that, whether or not the Board of Selectmen signed the agreement.
Well, I wasn't actually asking that. This PAC did have a say in the parking.
The final say on the parking goes to the Board of Selectmen. They are the only ones that do the agreement on the parking. What comes from the parking committee is strictly a recommendation, just like anything that comes from here is a recommendation. The Board of Selectmen have the final say.
Will that be at the next meeting?
I don't know that.
Will I be able to bring my map?
You can have that conversation with the chair of the board.
Okay, we'll talk.
Thank you.
I know.
I think related to the parking, I still gotta sit down with the police chief and iron out some of these side streets. I mean, parking's not an amenity, but it is a need. So I know we've had a lot of discussions with the advisory committee talking about peak, non-peak parking spaces available. So some of those can come back at certain times of the day, certain times of the year. But that's all stuff that has to be developed with the new parking ordinance that still being worked on. So discuss that earlier with the chief, so that's still a work in progress, and I guess it won't be ready for the next select board meeting, because I haven't had a chance to, chief hasn't had a chance to sit down with his parking committee to review, and then I need to sit down with him to go over what we have, and then I'm guessing parking committee will make a recommendation to the select board. The paint's gonna be the last thing that happens. So we've got time to iron out what parking spaces are what and what's available during peak and non-peak times.
And I do appreciate those comments, and I also appreciate that parking is important and probably will be talked about many times. So please don't think just because we've stopped the conversation that it doesn't have value. So does anybody have anything else that they'd like to address on the amenities? If not, we can, oh, I'm sorry, sir.
I think I have a question about highway signage.
Yes.
And I know we talked about having proper signage to direct people to the parking and crosswalks and whatever else. And did we breeze over that and I missed it? Or
Nope,
where are we with?
I can show you real quick as to the parking plans. They're kind of hard to see on this plan that I'm gonna pull up here. Bear with me a second. So these are the many signs that you are going to see out there. Obviously, the existing signs out there that you have today, the black and white ones, that have businesses on them, they're black and white, they're a different design, it's actually a sign ordinance in the town of Wiscasset. Those are going to look like they do today, they're just gonna get updated to a brand new sign, which is a lot of these signs over here. You know, and that's one thing that will vent with the parking committee is some of these businesses might not exist, but their signs still do. So that's one thing that I'll talk about about the construction stuff and where the advisory committee, I think, can be helpful to the department. So these are all the different type of directional signs, route signs, arrow signs, parking this way, no right turn, no left turn. As you can see, it's going to be a lot of signage out there.
A lot of signs, so how many in those 300 feet in addition to all the lights? All those panels, yellow, white, black?
They'll be scattered throughout, down railroad, down
But
water, down
how
water.
many? How many?
I don't know the exact count off the top of my
But
head.
we should know. I mean, this lady is right. When she saw a cycle, it's actually a distance. That's what I was calling the short distance, 300 feet. And you have hundreds of panels, of lights, of all kinds. How much is that thing costing? Do you think it's really worthwhile for 300 feet to put so many aggressive light and panels and ugliness in a little village that is classified as on the historical register?
A lot of these signs that you see, these long rectangular ones, those are actually your business signs. Those have nothing.
No,
those are
I
already
don't
there.
think anybody care about the business sign because obviously people want to go through, not park, to be mobile and don't care at all about the businesses because we are just a few. So I think it's really not the priority of anybody in Wiscasset because everybody is scattered somewhere else. I think even on that span of those 300 feet, I may be the only one sleeping in there, you know, because there may be businesses, gallery or something, but people live somewhere else. So, and I've guessed, you know, it's 300 feet. How many million do you put in those 300 feet for that project of lights and panels and do you do all this for people to go where? Faster to Damariscotta, to go play golf, to go to Goose Bay, Wiscasset. It's just nothing in those conversations. I don't think anybody cares. They want to have a pipe, a tube, where people are going to move smoothly. Nowhere in summer, I am in France, I am in other country, nowhere in summer with all the lights, the traffic lights, the sign, everything, it prevents traffic. Never. So on those 300 feet, there will be always in summer, 2 months of summer like anybody else, anywhere else I would say, it will be traffic. That's normal. So do you think that the town, people who vote against things, not to pursue any fight for that, thinks that they are going to pay more? It's not true, they are not going to pay more, and that's a subject I understand that we need to ask, because if it is already too much money for the project that is going that it's going to cost, who is going to pay then for the over amount of money it's going to take? Do you think for Wiscasset, such a small thing in the world, in the state of Maine, that it legitimates such a big expense? You know.
Yeah, a lot of the signs that are on this are actually we're replacing what's already there. We're not adding a whole lot of new signs. These are all.
I don't see any sign me anywhere. I don't speak of our businesses. We do our own sign. We don't need the town or MD something, the transportation to put signs saying a treat is here. If you want to go over there, you have to park all the way over there and come back here, and then you will see where it is.
Can I get you there so that you can come to a future meeting and discuss all
Yes,
of this?
yeah, because I want to be part of it. I know
What is your name?
I am new, and people say to me that I should not speak. I want to speak. I just want to
But tonight
have
is
some
not the
business
night
here.
because it's not on the agenda. What is your name?
What is on the agenda?
I'll show you. What is
No,
your
I
name?
want to know. You know, he doesn't know how many signs, you don't know what is on the agenda today. It's a public meeting to ask questions.
Excuse me, ma'am, if you give her your contact information, we'll make sure when.
You don't even know who I am?
Well, that's, no, don't put your
No, I
name
mean,
out.
they say the Marston House, I am Françoise Roy. But you know, I mean, it's like at school here. I mean, we are kids of 2 years old.
When we talk about the signage and stuff, we'd be pleased to have you be part of the conversation.
Yeah, I want to speak because I never speak here. Okay, so I want to let you know why and my disappointment of coming in this town and buying a property and to suddenly discover that ugly thing that is going to be at the corner of my house. I don't even speak of my business, I speak of my house. I sleep there and I'm going to have all those lights in my eyes and my guests also.
Ma'am, would you give me your
No.
name?
You don't give me answers, so I don't give you my name.
Well, I'm just trying to.
No, it's always a question, we speak too much. It's a debate, it's a comment, it's not to say amen to anybody, and we are not at school like 2 years old saying, oh, you need to put your hand high if you want to speak, you need to be polite, no. This person even said we should shut up, so I shut up and you will never see me again. I don't care about anything, I'm going to move somewhere else.
I just wanted to ask a clarification, that you spoke about parking on sides, the various sides. But I gathered that the streets will get paved, and then at some point, there'll be some discussion, and the Board of Selectmen would then basically decide where parking would or wouldn't be, and it would be painted to accommodate that.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, what you have is that you have some up here, Bob, obviously some over here, 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 some over here. Earlier on in the discussions with EMS unit, park, the fire trucks and ambulance and police, there was concern on their end about getting safety vehicles at peak times down the side streets. So actually we took off 1 or 2 additional parking spots based off their concerns at peak times. So realistically, you look at what goes on in the town of Wiscasset, what's open before 10 or 11 a.m.? Basically one store, right? Treats. So when you look at what's going on in Treats, you got some parking over here, there'll be some parking over here. So like before 10 a.m., those parking spots, you know, obviously you're still trying to discuss that, those can be actually open up until 10 a.m. before traffic picks up and then backups occur, and then the signals really have to have that space as well to operate. Same thing down here. You know, up until, I'm not sure exactly what all the stores open at, but most of them open at 11.
So once the town had made a decision on that, then you would both sides vote?
Correct.
All right, that's good, thank you.
Correct.
To get back to Bob's question, I see Water Street going down to the sewage treatment plant has been reconfigured. What kind of work is planned on that street?
On Water Street?
Yeah.
If you can wait just a second, I'll talk a little bit about, where am I on the outstanding items, because I haven't talked to you guys about the schedule.
Okay, are we ready to move on to outstanding items, if any? That was my way of whatever I might have forgotten, so that you folks could bring up anything that was on your mind, so.
Sounds like Ernie has one more thing though.
Well, we've got the outstanding items, which is next on the agenda, if that's where we're headed now.
Did you want to continue then with the Water Street?
Yeah, I got my list of bullets here, we'll get to it when I get down the list here.
Go ahead.
So Ernie's still on.
We're on outstanding
We're on
items.
two, we're on
number
bullet
2.
two?
Yes.
Okay, so what we've got is the time of construction. There was many things that the department looks at when reviewing projects like this. Obviously, daytime construction, number one, would impede business, would impede traffic, would impede everything in town, basically. So what we came up with was it's all night work. All night work starts at 8 p.m. and begins at 6 a.m. And we do have 1 8-hour closure of Route 1 that's going to take place. And that's because the rail crossing right here is going to get replaced in that 8-hour closure. That's going to take place, I'll bring it up, I'll just show you it right out of the contract book actually. And this gets into some of your questions to get on this subject. So right now the sequence that we've outlined to the contractor is we want Railroad Ave complete, and as you can see right there, up to 32550, which is right here on Water Street, right in this location here. So everything from here all the way down is going to be complete and 100% done except for surface pavement. We want to make sure that whole area is available for parking as they start disrupting everything else on Main Street and other areas to provide additional parking as needed when they start construction. The other question, Steve, is from here to here. Basically, it's reconstruction, I'm guessing probably right here by these two basins. So that's going to get reconstructed to Main Street, and this is what we call just a mill and fill, where they're just going to grind up the pavement, pave it, put new bituminous curb, which is there now, as well as a brick sidewalk out through there. So that'll probably be the first part, and then getting into that closure I talked about.
When's that going to start?
The closure?
No, first part.
This part right here, if I was guessing, like I said, we just awarded the contract last Friday. I would probably expect sometime around probably Labor Day or just after Labor Day week. In that frame, you'll start seeing some activity. Related to the 8-hour closure, which is right here, closure is going to occur when they shut down Route 1. It's going to be 9 p.m. to 5 a.m. in that range right there. The dates that we've given the contractor in the contract document is September 23rd to October 21st. So they have to do that 8-hour closure in that window. Again, it's all at night, and there's some other things that they could also do within that 8-hour closure. So that's one of the things that we're doing right there to hopefully help things out. Let's see, we talked a little bit about the granite. You know, we made the seating area because of difficulties in getting the alignment. I think that's actually going to be a plus for the town. It's going to give people a place to sit down as they're out there walking around. And like the biggest thing that I got on my list right now is that parking designation that we just went round and round on. It's there, but we've got to get the town on board with their parking committee and what they want for parking assignments, which will drive all the other stuff, the peak, non-peak times. The public safety has to have their voice in what they want, what they don't want. And that's all I really got on my bullets right at the moment for outstanding items.
The last item down, the number 8, resident capitalized. Who is resident?
He's going to be the guy, he's going to be the boots on the ground for the department out there during the construction. He'll be our construction resident.
Gotcha, thank you.
Yep.
Can I ask for the public if you could review the schedule for July and August? I think I got lost a little bit of the details there.
Yep, July and August is going to be the same. It's going to be 8 p.m. to that 6 a.m.
Where?
So how they're going to leave it, just, I know there's a lot of concerns around the time, but with that time frame, they're going to leave the roadway in a situation where it doesn't impede traffic, there's no issues. And this July and August, they're really going to be focused on Railroad Ave. And the project completion is really October of 19, because we've put a lot of with that restriction of just working nights, that doesn't give the contractor a whole lot of effort and time and daylight to really function. So we've really pinched the time that we would normally have in a regular contract.
You mentioned that Railroad Ave construction was starting Labor Day. Did you actually mean Memorial Day?
Did I say Labor Day? Yeah, it's probably going to be starting around Memorial Day. Sorry, I probably did.
Oh, that's 3 or 4 weeks.
Yeah, it all depends on the contractor. Has to get certain requirements in and things for us to approve before they can physically start to.
Sorry, Ernie, so that's all on Railroad Ave?
for Memorial Day, July.
Yep. Yep, and then just,
Does 8 PM to 6 PM.
yep,
Okay, and does it stop at Main Street?
yes.
Okay.
Yep, there won't be any work on Main Street until that piece is, and the philosophy is to have as much available parking for folks to utilize when they start the main line.
And what about Water Street? What time or what month are you starting that?
This section of Water Street,
Well,
Yeah.
yep, that's gonna follow suit once Railroad Ave is complete, from here all the way up through, get this parking lot done, the bus parking, the other parking here. It's all the way to, because I'm using stations, 325 plus 50, that's gonna be the first thing that gets done. So then once they get done that, they'll carry down this piece of Water Street, and then as the season gets on toward later this fall, they'll start picking some things off here that don't impede the travel lanes, because there's some restrictions in how much they can have open, how much they can have exposed. So they're gonna bite pieces off, probably on the side more than anything this fall, so they can maintain the main line and not impede that traffic during the daytime when they're not there.
Are they gonna try and work during the winter months?
Well, it depends on what Mother Nature gives us. You know, right now it's open, you know, we're gonna get to a certain point where they'll have a winter shutdown. You know, we'll call it a winter shutdown and they'll go away, but sometimes we get real lucky, like down in Guncourt a couple years ago, they worked all the way through to like February. You know, so hope for a mild winter, hopefully, not that I'm a global warming guy, but, you know, hopefully the weather will stay fairly warm as long as it possibly can to hold up.
If I can have one question, 2 questions perhaps? May I?
So, one
yeah,
second,
okay.
one
Yeah.
second. So, Ernie, when you get the schedule fine-tuned a little more, you'll get that to me so that I can post that on the town's website?
Yep, I'll get into that when I get to the outreach.
Okay, good, thank you.
Absolutely.
Before we take a question from the public, does anybody else have a question for Ernie on this particular item?
I just ask a quick question if I could. So I could expect, as they're working on Main Street there, that there'll be 2 lanes of traffic open. They could be anywhere on Main Street, probably designated with Jersey barricades or barrels. Might move from day to day, but the 2 lanes would always be open.
Oh, come daytime, absolutely. Yeah, you always have to have the 2 lanes. Like during the night, when traffic's low, they could go alternating one way. But obviously, when they leave the day, everything will be two lanes of
So
traffic.
during that window from, was it 9 PM?
8 PM to 6.
8, yeah, then it could be one way.
Could be. Yep, yeah, there's a lot of moving parts associated with this one. It's small in stature, but it's a mountain and conflict.
Marion, with all due respect, I had asked Ernie if I could duck out at 6. If there aren't any landscape issues, I'd like to get to a tapestry singers rehearsal.
Well, we'd like to have you sing, so you can start anytime.
He is
Does
a good
anybody
singer.
have
He's a
any
good
questions
singer.
for Ken before he goes? Okay, thank you for joining us, we'll see you again.
Thank you. Thanks, man.
Thank you.
Okay, yes.
I have 2 things. First of all, you say you're going to be working, starting Memorial Day weekend. We have one selectmen's meeting on March 15th, and then, Kim, correct me if I'm wrong, you said that we need to have a town meeting ahead of time, that you said that we would have a meeting to discuss all of the changes, because in the vote on 217, we voted against all the changes, so 3-2, the selectmen did. So we're supposed to have a meeting, the town meeting, before construction begins, correct?
That was in the letter of intent, that's,
Right,
she's
so-
only looking at me. because
Yeah,
of
based on
that.
the letter of intent. So we have the selectmen's meeting on May 15th, next Tuesday, and then before the following selectmen's meeting, they're allegedly gonna start working.
Just for design.
And as I recall, Ernie, way back, you actually said to me, before the plans were final, we had a chance to back out. Is that correct?
That was on the amenities, not the project.
No, that was on the project.
It was on the amenities.
No, I'm pretty sure
I'm done on that.
that, you did say that we've had the possibility of backing out. I just want to confirm that. You did say that. I can go back to the website to confirm that. Anyway, if this does proceed on Memorial Day weekend, where do you plan on parking your equipment?
They're working on their laydown areas right now, but the bulk of it's probably gonna be on Railroad Ave and 36 Water Street. The building's gonna be our field office, and then they'll have some laydown area here in the parking lot as well.
Okay, and Marion, will you notify those residents on Water Street that they will have throughout the night parking and backing up equipment from 8 p.m. to 6 a.m.?
Tell me.
There will be notices in the paper and on the town's website. The board has not given me a directive to do an individual mailing to each property owner. Should they do that, then I certainly will, but we've not had that discussion.
You may want to do like a flyer or a handout or something, because even on Water Street, I know that you've got already one resident very upset, and that upset me, that you didn't know who the Marston House was. Perhaps it's because you don't live in town, we do, and she's a new person in town. I was appalled at the rudeness of this committee.
Likewise.
I have a question regarding the work on Water Street, because I live on Water Street and work on Water Street. What do you advise the people that live on that street who need a good night's sleep so they can work the next day?
I'll get.
I'm already panicky over this, as you can tell.
Yeah, let's jump into the outreach that the department does, just to hopefully clarify some of it. And the other side of the coin is the nighttime work is Sunday night to Thursday night. We're not working Friday or Saturdays, so it's 5 days. We've minimized as much of the disruption as possible by taking away the important days. We know how critical the Friday and Saturdays are to all of Wiscasset. So we're only working 5 days from Sunday night to Thursday night. And just to touch base on the outreach that the department does, if you haven't, you can go on to the department's main DOT website that you see in front of you. So if you go in, type main.gov/MDOT, as I've shown here to the PAC, go into projects, and you can click on this sign up for email. And when you click on that, I can't click on it because I've already filled it out, but you click on that, put your email in, and then when you go down the list, go to the Wiscasset page, which we haven't developed thoroughly for construction yet, but we will soon. Like I said, just got awarded Friday, so we're trying to get things set up still on our end. And I'll let Mary know when it's up and running for people, but for right now, I would go in and hit this sign up for email button, put your email in there, and then select Wiscasset. So what's going to happen is during the course, we're going to put weekly updates up on the screen like we are in Hollowell. It's no different here. So you're going to know what's going on by getting these updates. So as you can see them all, they've been put in place from when we started up. I'll just click this one, place the catch basin at Street Wharf, Water Streets on each side. You're going to see the same thing here. We're going to put catch basin drainage on Railroad Ave, et cetera, et cetera. All the updates will end up over here. So all I can say right now to try to help things along is sign up for those email alerts. And then when we start this project and start getting the weekly, bi-weekly updates from the contractor, our department will post these. And obviously Marion's part of that. She'll put them on the town's website as well for that outreach. So for right now, we're not there yet with those updates because we haven't physically started construction. But as soon as we start construction, those updates will become live. And obviously, the caveat on every week of construction activity is Mother Nature. If it rains a couple days, then obviously you got to understand that things could slide because of the weather. But this will give folks a heads up when they're going to be right out in front of them or right near them as best we can. So we know there's going to be disruptions. There's no question. We can't do it in silence.
How quick do you expect it to be, say the whole street of Water Street? Do you have a mental time frame of 1 month to the beginning month to the ending month?
Yeah, right now I don't know that. The contractor is going to give us a schedule that they're looking at, and obviously we'll give that to the town. We'll post that as well up on the website so you can see their overall project schedule. Right now the completion is October of 19. because we put so many restrictions on only 5 days available each week to do the work. And like other towns, other communities have, like when you look at Hollowell, you know, they bit the bullet, you know, they lost a lot of side street access, but things are actually going well. But there's ways to circumvent the length, but we went with a longer length because we think it's best for everybody that travels through this corridor of Route 1. We feel it's better for the businesses, the residents, to do how it's set up.
Is Meg Lane still the outreach person?
Yeah, and I'm going to set that up with the PAC. That's one of the things that I want to talk about.
Will she be coming to meet with people? Because I thought we might see her tonight since outreach to the community was on the agenda.
Yeah, that was just me wanting to talk about what we've been doing on the website, what's going to be available to the folks of Wiscasset initially, and then obviously a big part of that is for Meg to come down and talk to the businesses, which is a critical part, yes.
Do any other members have any questions for me? I know you're patiently waiting to see what
I just want to clarify, Ernie, you said that during the construction, the Haggard lawn is going to be where the workers will be parking the vehicles.
Yes.
Okay.
A lot of this, when you look at Railroad Ave today, you know, as they work their way down, a lot of equipment is going to be parked down in here, obviously for stockpile materials, stockpile of equipment, stockpile of pipes, basins. Same thing would go over here. This is actually going to be where our field office is going to be. The field office is going to be.
Is what, in the Haggard building?
Yes.
Okay. After construction, what's happening with that?
Right now, it's not part of the project. That's all I really know.
Neither the lot nor the building?
Correct.
Okay.
May I ask about your one? Sure. This is a good time.
It is a good time.
So I just wanted to let you know that we're going into the 6th season of our art walk, and it's on Thursday night, and it ends at 8. There's always, of course, a little bit of a spillover. We talked about the possibility of changing nights, and it would be really hard to do that. We already have a lot of confirmations, and it's hard, and I think it's premature. It sounds like it's premature at this point to try to visualize what's going to be happening during the last week of all of the summer months. And the more advance notice we get, the more we can work around the placement of your equipment. But I wonder if there's opportunity for your side of the project to also somehow be flexible around our needs for this one day a month.
So it's 1 day a month, yeah, I mean, that's something that's not out of the ordinary for us, and it gets over at 8, so it's just a matter of holding off operations till things get cleaned up. That's not an issue. You got my email?
I don't, but you can either give it to me or I can get it from someone.
Yeah, why don't you get it from Marion, and if you could just send me the information related to that. So is it the last Thursday of every month? Okay, so yeah, if you can send me an email, that's obviously something we can work around, or at least tell you what might be dug up, what might not be, so you can still get your walk in. Yeah, I've heard of it. I didn't know exactly when it was, but you know, we can work around it.
I'll give you his card. I'm running low on those.
I don't know if that's good or bad.
Okay, so Seaver, thank you. Go ahead.
How much new impervious surface is being put down in this part of the project?
I don't know that off the top of my head, Seaver, but obviously Railroad Ave.
Can you get us those figures?
Yeah.
Railroad Avenue is something the state owns. It will continue to own Railroad Avenue?
That'll be part of the ongoing discussions with the town after the project's done.
It's something that we would definitely have to iron out before we sign it.
What? I'm sorry, Seaver. What? We can't hear you.
We're talking about the ownership of Railroad Avenue.
Right.
So
Can
that's
you repeat
something
what you
that we
just
want to
said?
clarify before we get involved with the state
Right.
on the ongoing ownership of that road. The project has changed that we're looking at, or are we talking about phase one? Or is this project that's been awarded?
Phase one.
Is this phase one? This is not the project we looked at previously during the winter.
This is the exact project that's been up there since I last talked to you folks.
Well, not really, because we eliminated a number of things, but I think that there are many people who understand this isn't the project we looked at for the last year and a half. However, is the bid that went out for that figure that I saw posted on your website, the figure that's to build this phase of the project?
It's been awarded. But it's been awarded.
And that was, do you remember the figure, the dollar amount?
6.8 or something like that.
6.8 million?
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah,
Well,
contract was signed last Friday.
That's interesting. We're looking at not the project that everybody was excited about, and the cost is way even more. So I think that we've got a lot ahead of us, a lot to look at.
You have to look at it, see where it's not going to be under construction here in 3 weeks.
Well, perhaps not, because you don't have an agreement with us yet.
Don't need one.
You don't need a municipal state agreement?
Because you don't have any, there's nothing, the only thing that would have caused us to have a municipal agreement at this point in time is if you added the bathrooms, which you would have to pay for. Right now, there's no cost to the town of Wiscasset with the project.
Well, of course, any work on Water Street has to be passed by our board.
It's all within the right of way.
Yeah, any work on that street. So that does have a municipal state agreement there. So, yeah, I think the discussion's still very much open.
Cynthia?
Where is the additional 1.8 million dollars?
I didn't ask questions. All I heard was it's awarded.
State's paid.
That's well above my pay grade. And I know when they say it's been awarded, that means it's been signed, sealed, delivered for the bid amount, which is great because we can build a project which will be good for all.
And something you had just mentioned was putting in bathroom facilities. What might we pursue with that?
I mean, there's still an opportunity for the town if they wanted to add it, but they would have to pay for the bathroom facilities. You know, I know we talked about it in the advisory committee, but it just never came to fruition to add it.
Yes, I just wanted to check.
You got someone behind you waiting.
I'd like to ask you something, because of all of these lights, okay? Are we responsible for that, paying for that? Or
Yeah, the
are
maintenance.
you, or is the state gonna take care of that cost?
The traffic signals we take care of. You guys will pay for your sidewalk lights and the bollard
Okay,
lighting.
but those lights, Route 27, that project,
This one out here,
you guys take care of the expense of that, is that right?
we don't right now because
Right.
that was part of the,
Right, I knew something wasn't taken care of. Thank you.
still
So
needs to be discussed.
So that's for us, that's what we pay for. The town is responsible for the cost of that, right?
Correct, at this
Okay, I just
time.
wanted clarification.
Yeah.
But it is negotiable?
It could be.
Okay, thank you. I just wanted to know about that.
Excuse me. Any other questions for Remy? Any other questions? Go ahead.
This contract price that you just spoke about, that's to one entity, Pike?
Correct.
And that is to do Water Street, we already have the Main Street, the lights.
Everything.
They would be the prime contractor on all of this work.
Yeah, they'll be the prime, they're gonna have, obviously, subs do
Of course.
the electrical work and a couple other things, like a couple of the, like the railings, you know, stuff like that, they're gonna have subs to do that, because they don't have the.
But they'll be the go-to company for everything.
Everything, correct. They're who our resident's gonna deal with, you know, if there's an issue with a subcontractor, then the resident will tell Pike, hey, you deal with your subcontractor, but they're the prime.
Excellent. Thank you.
Anything else on anybody's list? If not, we talked about the outreach. Does anybody have any other questions on the outreach? Next meeting date. Do you want to have another meeting, and if so, when?
I think it would be helpful to get Meg down here to talk about the tools that she has available for all that's in the room for the businesses. I know your business community is spread out, you have different various groups, but I gotta check with her on her availability first, but I want to shoot for 2 weeks from now, whatever date that will be.
Maybe the 21st.
You want to shoot for the 21st, and I can ask her what her availability is to pull her stuff together to come down to the.
How does that work for all of you? Doesn't work for you? Doesn't work for Cynthia? Does it work, is it a conflict for anyone else? Can you Skype in? No. Oh, maybe not.
Yeah, I'm.
Okay. So the 21st at 5 o'clock? Again, it's your agenda, so if there's something that comes across your mind that you think you'd like to add to it, please give me a phone call or an email, and I will be pleased to put it on the meeting agenda for you.
And I'll get the website set up so Meg can walk down through that and show people, make sure they're signed up properly and make sure they'll get the notifications.
Thank you.
I have a question.
Just
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I just have a question. Was that bid a lump sum bid or was it a cost plus?
Lump sum. It's based off bid items and what they bid per item. Sometimes costs go up because of excavation, sometimes things crop up like ledge, but that's the cost of the contract.
Thank you all very much. Thank you for joining us. See you.
Project now,